That is, until I turned to Turner Security. Not only is it done, it's done right. For your home or business, take it from me, Turner Security is the only place I'd turn.
Turn to Turner Security.
I'm Brian Barrett, and we are back here on News Radio WGNS, and it is my pleasure to welcome in Sarah Perrault. She is a senior editor with the Old Farmer's Almanac, and the Almanac is out. And, of course, this is always one of the interviews that I look forward to each year. And I think, Sarah, you and I have had several conversations, and we're always interested in that winter weather forecast that you put out in the Almanac. But goodness, there's so much more information in there, but we'll spend some time with that. But first of all, thanks for being with us today.
It is absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great. So the Almanac is out. So where do we get it? I guess let me just start off with that.
Well, you should be finding it now popping up everywhere that books and magazines are sold, whether you're looking for it at the grocery store or the garden center or the hardware store. You can find it there. And if you're not seeing it, you can always find it at almanac.com and Amazon.
Now, I know that a lot of print publications, you see them with an online version or moving online, but this is one of those things that it seems people still want to grab and hold the hard copy.
Yeah, you really want to hold it in your hands. It's the same thing that you see every year. Obviously, the information inside the pages changes, but it's just a comfort that we're always there when you need us.
The 232nd edition of the Farmer's Almanac and the Old Farmer's Almanac, which says something about it. And you're right. I don't remember the cover ever looking different except the year.
That's right. It's always the pale yellow. We've got the seasons on the cover, and right across in the red digits, the year that you're looking for. So 2024 is out now. Well,
would you say that the weather forecasting and just what goes into that is its most popular feature, and I guess why farmers back in the day really enjoyed reading that, because they could they did plan their planning around that and kind of know what's ahead. I know weather has come a long way now, but when you're talking 200 years ago or so, it was a lot different.
Oh, absolutely. Weather is what we're best known for. Whenever I meet somebody new and they ask me what I do, and I tell them, their first question is about the weather. So, yeah, it's really popular. And our founder was a farmer, and he was trying to make things easier for him and all of his fellow farmers and, predicting the weather so that they could plan better for their harvests, for their animals, and everything in between.
Well, let me make that my first question about what's inside. That's why I really love doing this interview. And last year, I just remember our conversation, and it was spot on here in the Tennessee area. And I did notice that kind of the overall headline is snow and cold for much of the country, it looks like.
That's right. A big portion of the country is looking at a winter wonderland this year. The exceptions being the Pacific Northwest, California, only parts of Texas, and then Florida. But most other places, it's going to be cold. In those areas that receive snow, they're going to get the snow that they've been missing from the last couple of years.
Well, this is the first time in a while that I can remember that the entire state of Tennessee, we're always kind of seemingly that borderline of whether it's snow or just a cold rain or maybe even some of that nasty freezing rain and sleet. But this is the first time in several years at least that cold and snowy is written right over our state, and the whole state is in white. So it looks like we could, for snow lovers out there, they're going to love this forecast.
Yeah, and if you're not a snow lover and you don't like cold, then you might want to head over to Texas, where it'll be mild, and Florida will be mild, but Texas will be wet and Florida will be dry. So take your pick.
Yeah, there you go. So can you give us maybe a few specifics that are in the Almanac about weather here in the Southeast and maybe Tennessee?
Certainly. So in your region, the winter is going to be colder than normal, which we just talked about. But you're going to expect the coldest periods in late December, early January, late January, and then again in early February. And then precipitation is going to be above normal with snow chances in the northern regions of your state in mid and late January, and again in mid-February. So January seems to be the bummer of a month. If you don't like snow and you don't like cold, that might be when you want to take your vacation next year.
Oh, man. So it sounds like right around Christmas, and then for the next 4 to 6 weeks, some pretty interesting weather for us predicted by the Old Farmer's Almanac. Our guest is Sarah Perrault, senior editor with the Old Farmer's Almanac, which is out now in places where you purchase books and magazines, and you can find it at many of the local farm places like our friends at the co-op just up the road and such. So how do you all put together this forecast? Because I know that in our conversations in previous years, the work has already started for 2025 on many of those things, but the forecasting, that is very hard to do. How do you pull that off?
Well, we're using basically the same formula that was devised in 1792 by our founder, because that was based on meteorology, which is just the study of the atmosphere, climatology, which is trends in weather. We use a 30-year deviations, and then solar science, which is study of sunspots. So those are three scientific disciplines that we're still using, but of course, in this day and age, we have a lot of technology available to us to enhance that formula, so it just kind of gets a little bit better every year.
I did notice that just about all of Canada is calling for cold and snowy, and when that happens, that's usually the freight train that kind of rolls right on into the United States, and this far south looks like it is going to be an interesting winter for us here in Middle Tennessee. Sarah, so we know the most popular thing you told us is the weather forecast, and I mean, you break it down by months and even weeks and dates. What else is it about the Farmer's Almanac, the Old Farmer's Almanac, that make people come back and buy each and every year?
Well, it's really a book that no matter what you're interested in, you're going to find something in there. If you like to cook, we've got recipes. If you're a gardener, we always have plenty of gardening articles as well as charts to help you plan and harvest. And then we've always got some jokes, riddles, fun things, trends for the coming year, just kind of a smorgasbord of great stuff.
And I noticed that, 10 years going, the Old Farmer's Almanac for Kids. Tell me a bit about that.
Oh, yes. I'm very excited about the Old Farmer's Almanac for Kids Volume 10, which just came out at the same time as this new issue of the Old Farmer's Almanac. I absolutely love the kids' book. It's great for ages 8 to 12 or really anybody, because a lot of kids get the book and the parents are like, they can't wait to look at it because it's so exciting. It's a great book. It's 176 pages, full color, no advertising in any of those pages, but it covers the same basic areas as the almanac. So kid-oriented stuff about astronomy and nature and farming, and we've got recipes for them and sports information for them and stories from kids who are doing good things and are trying to inspire other kids to also make a difference in the world.
Oh, wow. How awesome. So recipes, that's another one that I love, the Old Farmer's Almanac, for all the recipes that are in there.
Yes, every year we have a recipe contest, and we ask our readers to send us their best recipe. Sometimes it's an ingredient, sometimes it's a theme. Last year we asked you for ginger recipes, so we've got the winners in there. And I will tell you that the Thai meatball salad is fantastic. That won the second prize. And for next year, we're asking people to send us their best holiday dish. And that holiday can be any holiday you want. If you make something special on Valentine's Day, if you make something special on 4th of July, whatever holiday it is, and you think it's a great recipe, you can send it in, and maybe you'll win a prize.
Oh, awesome. So like this year, you said a ginger recipe. So that could be anything that has ginger as an ingredient.
Right, and that was last year's contest, so those winners are published in this year's. And there was a salmon, the meatball salad, some swirl buns, I would say cinnamon buns, but they're actually molasses buns, and then a crisp that used ginger in it.
So do you look at the recipes and pick some and then maybe even cook some of that up to test it and put that together? What goes into deciding who's in the book?
That's one of my favorite parts of my job, is when we do the recipe testing for the recipes. So yeah, we kind of we go through everything. We try to find things that are a little bit different, like not ginger cookies. You know, we got a lot of ginger cookies, but we didn't get a lot of ginger meatballs. And so we try to look for something a little bit different. It's going to taste good. It's going to look great. But yeah, we test them, and boy, I love doing that.
Boy, that you keep going back to that meatball, so it's certainly made an impression on you.
Yes, I'm still making it regularly in my rotation.
Wow, man, I'm going to have to get the Old Farmer's Almanac just for that reason. Sarah Perrault joining us today, senior editor with the Old Farmer's Almanac. I mentioned the kids' almanac, but there are other things that the Old Farmer's Almanac puts out, including Flower Gardener's Handbook, and there was one other, the gardening guide. Tell me a little bit about those.
Absolutely. We actually have a whole family of products. I'm not sure everybody is aware of that, but as you said, we do have, every spring we come out with the Old Farmer's Almanac Garden Guide. That's a magazine. You'll find that in the magazine rack, and it's for beginner gardeners, expert gardeners. It's actually just a beautiful magazine if you just want to have some sort of inspiration. And we do have a family of handbooks. The first one was the Vegetable Gardener Handbook, which I believe it's in its 6th printing now. It's been very, very popular. And right behind that in the family, last year we came out with the Flower Gardener's Handbook. You can find those at almanac.com or at Amazon as well.
All right. So almanac.com is, I guess, one place that we could send folks to be able to take a look and find what they want. Is there an online order as well?
Absolutely. If you go to almanac.com, you can do anything from check your forecast to find a great recipe for supper to figure out what moon is going to be coming up for a full moon, and you can shop. So you could spend hours there.
That's good. I've got to get that meatball recipe. I'm looking forward to that. So maybe that will be a nice warm dish in the cold, snowy weather that we're predicted to have this winter, rather.
Absolutely. You probably want to stock up on hot cocoa as well.
Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds like it. Well, Sarah, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you spending some time with us today.
Oh, thanks very much.
Absolutely.
Hope you guys enjoy your winter.
Yeah. If the snowbirds out there are definitely going to enjoy that. Sarah Perrault joining us, senior editor with the Old Farmer's Almanac, right here on News Radio WGNS.
This is Lenny Farmer with Jennings & Ayers Funeral Home. Did you know that you can plan your funeral in advance without actually paying for your funeral in advance? In other words, if it's not a convenient time to pay for your funeral, you can still choose your funeral items and we'll file them away for later. Let's consider that together. You make the decisions for yourself, and when that financial window opens up, it becomes an easier decision. Call me at 615-893-2422 and let's plan together.
It's time for a reading of this morning's death notices. Mr. Jerome Gwynn, age 41, passed away on Wednesday, October the 18th at TriStar Hendersonville Hospital. He leaves to mourn his passing wife, Julie Gwynn, son, Raiden Gwynn,